Очень волнуется, потому что первым это очень волнительно. Позвольте представить генерального креативного директора компании FCB Hamburg, Германия, Christoph Nann с темой «5 правил на пути к чуду». Christoph Nann, Chief Creative Officer at FCB.
There was no party yesterday, so everybody's here. Not hangover. The presentation.
1 second, please.
Hey. This morning is nothing that is highly scientific or elaborate. It's just thoughts of a simple creative person dealing with the things we have to deal today in our world. And it's really rather shared thoughts about how we act today, how we discuss today in the advertising world, what kind of new insights, new learnings we have, because we're living in a time that is really a revolution. It's digitalism, or digital, has changed so much in the last couple of years that we have to change very much as well. So shall I just click, maybe? So it's just shared thoughts about how we can still be successful and how we can produce outstanding creative work in a world that changes every day faster than ever before. Very good. Thank you. So the first thing, and it's split into 5 rules. So the first rule is we have to hurry. I think 20 years ago we all could take our times to develop campaigns. It was just one TVC in every 6 months or every 12 months. Today everything's very different because it was never so easy to become a billionaire fast, but it was never so easy as well to lose everything you have, and to lose especially relevance, that nobody wants to work with you anymore. If you have a look at it's from 2006 to 2016, the biggest companies in the world. I think that's the best proof of how many things have changed in the world. 12 years ago, it was ExxonMobil, General Electric, Gazprom. Then there was one digital company, Microsoft, on it. And the rest had nothing to do with the world we live in today. Today, or 2 years ago, it's number 1 Apple, number 2 Alphabet, which is Google, Microsoft, Berkshire Hathaway, something else, Exxon. Then there's Amazon and Facebook. I think in the last 2 years... Is it too loud?
No. It will translate.
It's so, okay. Hello? Can I take this one off then?
Yes.
Okay, hello again. Hello, here I am. 2 years ago it was Apple, Google, Microsoft, and then Amazon and Facebook down there. I think in the last 2 years it changed again dramatically. I think Amazon is now on position number 2, and Facebook maybe on 3 or 4. So you see there that what we once believed in makes us successful doesn't obviously make us successful anymore. So we have to hurry. The second thing is we have to collaborate. That is a word everybody's talking about, collaboration. What does that mean? A couple of years ago, there were maybe 5 channels we had to work with. There was TV, there was radio, there was outdoor, there was print, and that was it. That was very easy to deliver on these channels. So one person could do that, or one team, copywriter, art director, maybe a planner, an account guy who sells the stuff to the client. That was easy to do. Today, if you look at the channels we are facing today, this is kind of the world we used to live in, print, TV, out of home, that's more or less it. Today, it's much more. We don't have to go into this, but it's just, if you look at these bubbles, you realize that there can't be one person handling all these different channels, different approaches to do proper communication. So we have to collaborate. We have to collaborate with media agencies. We have to collaborate, most importantly, with our clients. We have to do workshops with them. We have to sit together, many people discussing the topics we want to discuss. That will bring us further. We have to be agile. The topic of new work, I don't know if that's so present here in Germany. Everybody's talking about new work, up and down and everywhere, which means you take the old hierarchies away and you have teams that are responsible on their own and are very agile and very fast in producing and can change very fast, can correct very fast, because there's not the waterfall principle anymore where you have to report to your creative director and he reports to your chief creative director and then to the chief creative officer or whatever. But you make the teams themselves responsible. So the old master guy that had this brilliant thought in his head and then brought it to paper and sold it to the client, he's gone. We don't need him anymore. And rule number 4, we have to stay trendy. But something about the time today as well, like if you look at Instagram, for example, you realize that there are trends changing every minute nearly. Especially if we work in advertising industry, we have to be very aware of delivering these trends and be in time. So it's about being trendy, being agile, collaborating, hurrying, and I suppose everyone agrees. And here's the crucial point. This is the dramaturgic turn in the presentation. Everybody agrees. We're all talking about the same things. We all nod our heads if we talk about collaboration, if we talk about agility, if we talk about being fast and hurrying. And that's maybe the problem. When did that start, that we all talked about the same shit? What the fuck happened to us? We used to be creatives, right? We used to do things differently. We used to discuss things. We used to question things. So when did that happen, that the word creative was kind of devalued to a word in job descriptions for finance guys? What's creative today? Is it really being agile, hurrying, collaborating, doing workshops with your client, writing ideas on flip charts, brainstorming bubbles, and then have a result? Will that lead you to the very good result, to the very best result? I think no. So we have to ask our questions, especially as creatives. How can we set the bar? How can we be better than others? How can we produce outstanding work? And I think the major problem of our time today is that we have started to discuss processes and not so much results. It's very interesting. Being in the jury is like the best thing to do because it's reduced, the discussion is reduced just on the results. You're not talking about, was it produced in an agile way? Did they do a workshop? Did they collaborate with their media agency? Did they collaborate with their clients or with the CRM department or whoever? It's just about the results. And we've forgotten in our daily work, we have forgotten to discuss the results, we just discuss the processes. All these buzzwords are presented to you, are discussed every day, and everybody tells you about this, be more agile, collaborate, whatever. But nobody talks about the results we want to reach and how to reach them. Because I think, yes, all these buzzwords, it is important. It is important to be trendy, to be fast, to hurry and everything, because it's true what I told you, but it's not the only truth. There are more important things, and the most important thing as a creative we should do to set the bar is question everything. Because as I said, creative, disruptive, different, we're all using these words in many times. Using more words, we're using words like influencer, movement, viral, interaction, awareness, love, brand, emotional. For example, what's emotional? What kind of shitty word is that to judge creative work? Hatred is an emotion as well. So what's emotional? And if you look at some pieces of advertising where clients and creative directors say, wow, it's emotional, we have to put in more emotion. Ask your mother or your father or anybody who has nothing to do with advertising if that's emotional. It's not. It's advertising. So don't use these words as we use it. Interaction. We're proud on interaction. If we have in social media interaction like 5,000 likes and shares and whatever. You know, it's the smallest degree of activity, what we call interaction. It's moving your finger 1 millimeter on a button that displays a little tiny icon. That's a like. It's worth nothing. It's worth nothing. So it's not interaction, revolution, movement. What's a movement? If like 2 million people use their fingers, is that a movement? We call it movement to sell it to our clients, but I think we maybe started too much to believe in that we do movements in advertising. We don't. Influencers. There used to be a time where not 18-year-old fashion victims used to have the name influencers. There were people who had really opinions. We're talking about influencers. It's not the right word. Creative, disruptive, different. When did we stop to think different, to be different, to be really disruptive, to do something nobody else does, to be creative, to think in directions nobody else does? So that's kind of the thing. So there's rule number 5. The most important thing we should take as creatives in our today world, where we have so many things to consider, never stop questioning. So never not, if somebody tells you we have to do a workshop on this, because is the workshop always the best solution? Never not if somebody just says we have to be more agile. Ask yourself, will the atmosphere of agile work lead to the best result? So maybe let's go back. Do we have to hurry? Yes, of course we have to hurry. But make sure that you only hurry when you are right, good and ready. Don't hurry in the creative process. I'm pretty sure if I've searched for this information, I didn't find it, but when we look at Google, it would be super interesting to know how long the guys needed to program this algorithm that made Google successful. Let's assume that this was maybe 1 or 2 years. Once they had the algorithm, then they had to run, then they had to hurry. But don't hurry in thinking about what the solution might be. If you have the idea for the solution, then hurry. It's very important to take your time. It's very important, by the way, to take from time to time a bottle of wine, go home, sit there, and think maybe even about something else, and not only hurry all the time. Same with collaboration. Do you really think collaboration leads to the best creative result? Was Beethoven's 9th Symphony composed in collaboration? In a workshop with a client where they discussed themes on a flip chart? Or do you think that Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare was written in a writer's room, collaboration with a media agency, discussing targets and goals, and then coming up with a love story? No, they weren't. They were written by some genius guys. So let the geniuses do their work. Give them their room and their space and their time to think about good solutions, and then be aware that it might be something you haven't ever heard of, you haven't ever discussed, you haven't ever even considered to hear of that or discuss that, and then deal with it. So be brave. So collaborate, but not in the creative process. Be agile, same thing. I mean, it makes us quick, and agile work comes from the software industries, where it definitely makes sense because you have to try and retry a lot in a team. But in the creative work, you maybe have to try and retry a lot alone. You have to be cruel to yourself. And maybe if you are a decision maker, a creative director, you maybe sometimes have to be cruel to your team and say, no, it's not good enough. Go again, try again. So it needs some kind of hierarchy. Good ideas is not democratic. Having good ideas is not democratic. It's something you have to be cruel on if the result is mediocre. And you have to fight for the better result. So be agile and work agile, but not in the creative process. Stay trendy, yes, of course. But if we only stay trendy, there will be no content from us that stays. I think the interesting question in our time is everybody discussing what comes and what goes. We know Kodak is gone, and Google has come. But isn't in a time where everybody talks about what comes and what goes, the most relevant and most important question, what stays? What stays is really something we have stopped thinking about, in a way. And nobody's talking about that because so many things have come and so many things have gone, of course, so it's relevant to talk about the first 2 questions. But what stays, and what has always stayed, is in the end the thing that makes the world go round. Being motivated, ambitious or not, being desperate, that's what stays. So emotion, dealing with humans, being empathic on humans, and not only measure things having results and then say advertising will go because digital is getting more important or whatever. What stays is the most relevant thing you can develop. So never stop questioning, Let's just start right now. Coming to the end. Spasibo. Are there any questions?